In 1987, the National Council on Drug and Alcohol Dependence named April as Alcohol Awareness Month. In this week's What's the Buzz, SAU Weekly's Evie Breitbach dives into the importance of alcohol awareness for college students.
Joining us now is the director of the Counseling Center, Dr. Sarah Oliver. Thanks for being here, Sarah.
Thanks for having me.
So my first question for you is, as someone who works in the mental health field, what does Alcohol Awareness Month mean to you?
Well, as far as alcohol awareness goes, we're on a college campus, right? I don't think we're under any delusion that people are drinking alcohol, but for us in the Counseling Center, it's a good time for us to educate the community about alcohol and its impacts on people, and use it as a time to just provide resources and education to students and faculty and staff as well.
Now, since we are on a college campus, how can college students practice safe alcohol consumption?
Well, it's a great question, right? But I think the main thing has to do with self-awareness, right? That understanding how much alcohol is in a drink based on what kind of alcohol a student is drinking. If it's beer, wine, or hard liquor, it may have different impacts based on your size, whether you've eaten, those sorts of things. Also, understanding what kind of relationship you have with alcohol. Is alcohol something that you use as a way to cope, stress relief, right? That alcohol tends to not be a problem until it's a problem. And so really just the idea of self-awareness and how it impacts students is what we're looking to teach folks.
There's a lot of information out there about alcohol, and some of it might not be true. So what are some common misbeliefs when it comes to alcohol consumption?
Well, it's interesting that you asked that, right? There's an annual survey put out by the ACHA, which is the American College Health Association. And in some of the data that we've looked at most recently, I think one of the myths out there is that all college students drink. And what we're coming to understand is that a third of college students are reporting they don't drink at all. I think there's also a common misconception that college students go out with the intent of getting drunk, and that a lot of times college students go out, have one or two drinks, and sometimes that's as much as 60 or 70%, and then they go home, right? So I think that there's this myth that part of college life is this idea about binge drinking, and that's not actually what's happening.
For any students who might be struggling with alcohol-related problems, what are some of the resources available to students when it comes to alcohol, whether that be through the Counseling Center or elsewhere?
Well, certainly we'd encourage students who are questioning in any way their relationship with alcohol to stop into the Counseling Center. We're always available to have those sorts of conversations. We have a resource on our Linktree page, which hopefully you can share for us, specifically related to alcohol and other drugs, and that there's a lot of resources there. But again, we stress self-awareness. What's your relationship with alcohol like? Is it getting in the way of your life in any way or your education in any way? And that there's a lot of community resources for students to access. One-on-one with us, there's a lot of agencies in the community also that provide support for alcohol. Pretty much everybody knows about AA or Al-Anon. Even if students are struggling with a family member who they feel is misusing alcohol, there's resources for that kind of support.
That's all the questions I have for you today. Thank you so much for being here, Sarah, and thank you for all you do with the Counseling Center.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Back to you guys.
Thanks, Evie. The Counseling Center would like to remind you that if you choose to go out, you should take the proper precautions to keep yourself safe. Stay in a group, don't leave your drink unattended, and do not get behind the wheel if you've been consuming alcohol.